Welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere with your host, Chris Parker.
And welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere. This is Chris Parker, and I'm going to shave my face in about 20 minutes. So you're going to have to stick around to see that event happen. I have Michael Fischer, who is the European lead for the Movember Foundation, on the podcast with me. And we're going to discover a bit about Michael and also about the Movember movement, why it's here. And this for me is, I think, my third or fourth year doing Movember. And I'm delighted to have Michael here to share a bit of the bigger picture and how it's evolved over the years. And most importantly, how you can contribute and get involved, get moving to help men's health and men's health issues around the world. So, Michael, welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere. Can you please share with everyone, Michael, what is it that you do and why do you do what you do?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. And I'm excited to see your beard fall. Mine will also disappear in a couple of days when Movember starts. But yeah, I'm originally from Berlin, Germany. And I used to work, well, no, actually, I had a mustache before I started working for Movember. That's one of the questions people always ask me is like, do you need to have a mustache to work at Movember? And sometimes, tell them yes, and that includes the ladies, and then they look at me in a weird way, and then I have to clear it up and explain to them that I'm actually the only person that grows a mustache in the Movember office, at least in the UK, in London, where I live year round. But I used to work in a marketing campaign or in a PR agency. We used to run the marketing campaign for Movember in Germany when it started over there in 2012, and then moved over to work directly for Movember 5 years ago. And I look after all of our European markets, which includes the Netherlands, where you're based, but also big markets like Germany, where I'm from, Switzerland, France, Spain, all the way up to Scandinavia. And we support communities, companies, and pretty much everyone that is interested in men's health to execute a campaign. Our biggest focus, obviously, is the upcoming month of Movember, but we actually do stuff year round, from funding research projects to little nuggets of activities around key dates, where we kind of want to remind men to take better care and look after their health.
And what a great mission. And Michael, why is this important to you? I mean, it seems like I looked at your LinkedIn, of course, and we've had a chat, a week or two ago, and you've been involved in Movember for quite a few years, and there's people giving recommendations. One gentleman from Adidas, who you did some amazing Movember work with them on their campaigns. What motivates you to do this, to keep the movement going?
Yeah, it's a good question. Another question you get asked a lot for your job, because my professional career started in an agency, so I was a bit of a gun for hire, and I worked for amazing brands. And don't get me wrong, I actually just talked to my former client, who are also executing a Movember campaign in Stuttgart at Daimler, the big corporate that is most famous for the Mercedes-Benz brand, and they are pulling off some amazing stuff for Movember. But they used to be my client back in the day, and I used to work for various brands. But what excites me most about Movember is that not only is it a great brand, but it's also a great cause. So at the end of the day, when you go home working agency side, maybe you're passionate about this brand because they build nice cars and you like cars, or you're passionate about this brand because you like their products. But what really fascinates me about Movember, and still to this day, is we're putting some amazing content out there. We've got a beautiful website, we've got amazing stories we share on Facebook, on Instagram. If you want to just search for Movember there, you will see what I mean. But we also really help people, and we help men live happier, healthier, and longer lives. I'm obviously a man myself, so I do this because 20 years down the line, maybe hopefully longer, I might be affected by one of our cause areas, which is prostate cancer, which affects mostly men aged 45 to 50 and older. But then I also have a younger brother who just turned 16. Hi, Moritz. And who I had a conversation with about his testicles, which obviously is not a situation any 16-year-old wants to have with their older brother. But then who, if not me, should talk to them about that? And then I think this year has also shown that mental health is a really, really important issue that affects more and more people, sadly, in these dark times. And it's just beautiful to work for a brand that really looks and feel and smells and tastes good, but also to almost every day be in touch with someone whose life was impacted by one of our cause area, but who we maybe were able to help, or who went to a really dark spot and recovered from it and is now sharing their story to inspire others. So that's, it's more than a job, but I also, don't feel like I'm preaching to someone. It feels more like, just making people aware of something they might be already aware of, and remind them about something that they kind of know, but they don't really want to go there because men don't like to talk about their health or think about it. But it gives me an opportunity to have that conversation. And it's quite rewarding at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm just, and I think it was around 2012, 2013. I think it was the Next Web in Dublin, and all the barber shops were having free, shaving experiences as a kickoff to Movember. I believe that was the first time that I was exposed to it. And I was instantly connected. My father is recovered with prostate cancer. My dear friend Trevor, back in the States, also had prostate cancer. So at that time was really triggering for me. And one of your thank you for your pre-Movember campaigns, because the emails that came through just got me ignited. And with the podcast going on, I reached out and thank you so much for your instant response and joining for the conversation. So I'm so grateful. And can you go a little bit into mental health, because that's, I think, is a kind of a newer evolution in Movember, and I think it's deeply important and something that we just don't talk about enough, and not only for men, but I think for anyone. But in the context of Movember and men's health, can you share why that is important to the Movember Foundation and what you're doing to help people with mental health issues?
Yeah, sure. And thanks for being so open and talking about your experiences with our cause areas. I think the longer I'm involved with Movember, the more even friends come forward to me and share their stories and tell me that they have been affected, or that they actually are struggling themselves, which, as sad as it is, makes me happy, because it means that we get somewhere, because we want, in a nutshell, we want men to talk about their health. We want them to share their stories, to allow others to share their stories as well, to lead by example. And mental health is one of the cause areas that haven't been on the news a lot, because there's still a stigma around talking about mental health. And there is a right way and a wrong way to talk about mental health. So, for example, we don't want to stigmatize it by using the wrong language. So just a very basic example that I think is quite tangible for everyone is we don't say, or we don't use the phrase to commit suicide, because commit is already a word that stigmatizes. You could commit a sin, you commit a crime, but actually suicide is something that shouldn't be stigmatized, because the people that take their life, and sadly 3/4 of suicides pretty much in every country in the world are men. A lot of them don't take their life as a free choice, but because they're in a very, very dark place, and they go through a lot, and their families, friends, they go through a lot. So we don't want to stigmatize them by using that kind of language. Mental health affects both genders equally. So women and men are both affected when you look at the numbers in the same way. We normally say around 1 in 4 will have a mental health issue in their life. I assume thanks to COVID, that number might actually go up because more people are put in a situation where they might develop a mental health issue. But as I said earlier, men are suffering in silence a lot, and a lot of the time, sadly, that means that they seek help too late, and they might end up in a very, very dark point where suicide sadly becomes an option for them. So that's why it's so important to address the issue, because we try to intervene early. We're not a helpline. There's amazing helplines out there, and all of the resources on how to both get support or give support are on a website on movember.com/mental-health, or on our Facebook pages. And we've worked very early in Australia, for example, with organizations there where Movember is from, to really look into that space, because our founders have had men in their network that sadly took their life, and they realized this is something we need to do something about. Nobody's speaking about it, and we need to address this topic, and just sweeping it under the rug and ignoring it won't make it any better. I don't know how many minutes we've already talked, but one horrifying stat is that every minute of every day, globally, one man takes his life. So if you add that up, that's 60 men an hour, and that's just not acceptable. That's over 500,000 men that disappear from us every year. Obviously, suicide is something that we can all maybe do something about. We can all have open conversations, and Movember has developed a tool called Movember Conversations, that's available on your phone. Just type it in your browser, and Google will lead you there, and it helps men to have a conversation with someone that's going through a tough time. And it's like a training tool. You can go through a few example conversations and just try out what to say, and then learn how to say the right things in order to say that. And that's the first thing. If you see something, say something. If you see someone that's going through a tough time, tell them, it looks like you're going through a tough time. Is there anything I can help you with? Is there someone in your network that we can talk to? It's very, very simple, but still there's this big stigma around mental health issues, and we think people with mental health issues are violent or aggressive, or they self-harm. A lot of those are not true. And especially if it's someone that's close to us, why wouldn't we talk to them? If we see someone with a broken leg laying on the road, they fell off their bike, everybody rushes to help. But if you see someone that's maybe gone a bit quiet, or that seems to be a bit erratic, we all stay away, because we kind of think subconsciously that's something we need to be, aware of and stay away from. But it's actually the other way around. We need to go there. We need to offer our help.
Yeah, it is a shocking statistic, and I guess it's the travesty of the people that are, surviving, people who take their life. Is just saddens me just to hear it, and trying to empathize a bit. I can imagine also with men's health, there's this machismo thing there we're dealing with as well. That men are supposed to be, self-sufficient, and showing vulnerability and weakness is not appreciated. And I think that's kind of a stigma that we're overcoming as well. And to say that, hey guys, it's okay to suffer. It's okay to not know, maybe what to do. It's okay to reach out and talk to people when you need help. It's just saddening that some people aren't either, they don't feel they're able to, or don't have whatever the situation is in order to receive that help. So I love the idea of Movember Conversations. I'll try to put a link of that into the show notes for people, so people go there and check that out and get educated. So what can people do? Meaning that's what I love about Movember, is there's so much suffering, I guess, in these topics. And sometimes I feel helpless, as an individual person. And then that's one of the true, energies that I found with Movember is, this is something that okay, in a way it can be a bit of a silly gimmick to shave your face and grow out a mustache. and I have fun with that. But then there is also a very it's starting conversations, because it's when I'm on these Zoom calls and things with executives from large corporates, and in my normal work, and you talk about men's health issues, at least that comes up in conversation. And then of course people can donate money and move their body and do other things. So when in the Movember movement, how can men and women get involved and contribute to making things better for men's health?
Yeah, thanks for flagging that. Women, or Mo sisters, as we call them, can get involved as well. So the Mo bros are the men, the Mo sisters are the women, but we also now have a gender neutral option. So we don't try to exclude anyone. We try to be very inclusive. And as you said, it can sometimes be overwhelming to find the right thing to do, because not everyone can grow a mustache. Not everybody wants to grow a mustache. Not everybody wants to move. Not everybody can move. And we try to be inclusive. So everything we do, whether that's growing a mustache or moving, organizing an event, recording a podcast, it has one simple goal, and that is to start a conversation. So if you, dear listener or viewer, don't want to do anything else, but just reach out to a man that is close to you and tell them you care about them, and tell them you learned something about men's health. And if they're younger men, if they know how to check their testicles, if they're an older man, if they've ever thought about getting a checkup, or just check in with them and ask them how they're doing, how this whole situation with COVID and lockdowns and travel restrictions and working from home and all the horrible things that we have to go through these days, how it makes them feel. Because we've done a survey among men globally to find out how they're dealing with COVID, and we found out that although over 80% of men find it helpful to talk about problems, almost 50% said that no one reached out to them, which again just shows us that we need to talk more, because we all know talking is good, and we need to talk more. So this is the basic stuff. If you want to go next level, as you do, growing a mustache is great, because the idea behind the growing your mustache is not to have a mustache competition, but it is to change the way you look. So by me, for example, shaving off my mustache, people are like, oh, but you do Movember, so don't you have a mustache? And I'm like, no, you start clean shaven. Everybody shaves off whatever facial hair they have, and if they don't have, they stop shaving the upper lip, and then you let the mustache grow for the whole month, and then people start asking you, and they want to find out why do you have a mustache. Maybe the history of Movember is something I can talk about, why you actually shave. The other one is we want to get men moving, or people moving, because we know that getting out there, moving your legs, whether that's running, whether that's walking, whether that's cycling, is really good for you, and it has a positive health effects, both for your physical and mental health. So we challenge everyone that wants to pick up the Move Challenge in November to run or walk 60 kilometers throughout the month for the 60 men that we lose per hour. And then another really important part of having a conversation is getting people together. So virtually this year, obviously, we try to get people together, whether they want to do a pub quiz or they host a movie night. I think we all suffer from a bit of Zoom fatigue. So maybe we find something where we don't have to stare at the camera at our own face all the time. But yeah, what I do, for example, with my friends from Berlin is we have a little WhatsApp group, and then we would just play a mobile game. I don't know, Call of Duty Mobile, Fortnite. There's lots of games out there, and we will just play. We will have a chat while we play, and we would sometimes talk about life. We talk about relationships. We talk about our jobs, and sometimes we just say, "Oh, watch out! There's a guy behind you." So it's just creating this space where you can have a chat and maybe have a conversation about the things that are going on in your life, and reaching out and being inclusive and trying to have a bit of time together. Everything's on the website on Movember.com. You can sign up there. You can create a fundraising page. You can share that wide in your network, add it to your Instagram. You can create a fundraising page on Facebook. So if you create a page on our website, you can link that with a fundraising page on Facebook. It's all explained on Movember.com. Moving, as I said, is a big one, whether you do that alone or as a team. So you can also invite your friends or your colleagues to join your fundraising team on Movember.com. And I speak to a lot of companies that do that and really use it to get the staff rallied and united under the Mo. But especially for corporates, it's also a really good opportunity to share how they contribute to making our world a better place. Those are like the main and the basic means to join.
Yeah, I love it. And the there's so many ways to get involved, not only for men but also for women and anyone else. And the conversation starter definitely happens, because when I shave my face, people like, what? And then when you start growing out the mustache, and so what I did is I actually made these business cards, a couple years ago, which was not only does it start a conversation, but then here's a reminder to go to the site and and at least read and start that conversation and donate or move your body. Michael, I'd like to if you will share how does a man test his testicles? I literally do not know what you mean by that, and so can you take a couple minutes and explain why you should test your testicles and how and how does that work?
Yeah, so testicular cancer is a disease that mostly affects young men. So the tricky part about it is just raising awareness for that. And we've done, I think, a really good job to be very tongue-in-cheek when it comes about that. So the hashtag or the tagline we use is know thy nuts. So know your nuts. It translates differently in other languages. But in the end, we try to be a bit cheeky. We use images of walnuts or of bowling balls. We've created a few nice pieces of content that maybe you can also share or link to in the show notes. But in the end, it comes down to getting to know what's normal. And I think women are an amazing inspiration when it comes to looking after their health. They all know how to perform a self-check for breast cancer. And we want men to be as comfortable around that as possible. And also, it's a disease that ideally, if you catch it early, has a super high survival rate. But in order to catch it early, you need to know what the symptoms are. And unlike prostate cancer, where you have to visit a doctor regularly for a checkup, this is something you can do once in a month under the shower and only takes a few minutes. So the way it works is, ideally you do it under the shower. The warm water will make the testicles come out of the body. You know that when you jump into a very, very cold ocean, everything shrinks down there. So the opposite thing happens when you're in warm water and, you're in the shower, you're naked already. You should probably spend some time down there anyhow. And then you just roll the testicles between your thumb and your index and your middle finger. And you just kind of have a very loose touch. Don't squeeze too hard. Obviously, that gets painful. But you just feel it and you check it. And ideally, you feel nothing abnormal. Especially if you do that every month, you will kind of know what feels normal. You will know that, for example, one testicle hangs a bit lower than the other, and that's completely normal. But if you spot anything like a lump, a swelling, or if you have intense pain, that could be something that needs to get checked out by the doctor. So you do it with one testicle, you do it with the other, everything's fine, that's it. But if you spot anything that is abnormal, you can go ideally to a GP and have it checked out. A lot of the time, it's not cancer because, the way the testicles are shaped and, how we live our life, working out, riding a bike, all of that, sometimes they get bruised a bit and it's nothing, but definitely get it checked out. Most people I talk to who have survived testicular cancer, they got diagnosed and they pretty much got operated very, very early because it's sometimes an aggressive form of cancer that can grow and even spread very quickly. So if you're unsure, get it checked out immediately. And that's the way you can do it. But it's something that I had to get used to. I had to try out a few times, but now it's part of my routine, and it's not a biggie.
Well, I will put a link to one of the videos on how to do that. And no, I don't want to give a demonstration of that on this video. I think that is not where we're going, but where we are going is to shave my face. So we're coming to that section. My plan is, and I don't know how it's going to work because I'm at my home office desk. I've got 2 bowls of water, a couple towels, my razor device, and as well as razor blades. My thought is to do the razor machine first, which will be a bit noisy. And then so I'll try to keep that fast. And then while I'm applying my shaving cream and shaving, Michael, maybe then during that time, you could tell a little bit about the history and how this all came about. So
yes, perfect.
So for those of you listening by audio, my apologies. It's just going to be a noisy mess for a little bit, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation. So, okay, here we go. So
good luck.
Yeah. Oh, it's weird. I don't even have a mirror. I'm using the camera as a mirror. I don't know if this is going to end well. Wow, it's been a long time since I've done this. Well, I think 2 or 3 years since last November I participated in. So, and I think I'm going to have to vacuum up here after this as well. This stuff is flying everywhere. But I thought let's at least get the long bits off of that. And now, men out there, you're watching or you're listening to what I'm doing. You have no excuse to go on Movember.com and find a way to contribute. I guess this isn't good enough. I guess I need to move to the razor blade now.
I think you need to, yeah. So the most important thing is obviously, to get the right kit. So what I would advise you to do is to, get some hot water, get some nice foam or gel and really massage it in to make sure your skin is nice and smooth. Otherwise, you get cuts and rashes. And this is obviously something that I need to do in a couple of days as well. I would normally go to the barber, but sadly, barbershops are not as accessible as they should be. But yeah, you made one really good point, which is donations. So I can talk about this for a minute or two as well. You can go to the website and you can donate either to Movember in general, but you can also maybe go to Chris's page and donate there. There's different forms of payment, but the most common ones are obviously PayPal, credit card, and then the money is virtually assigned to Chris's fundraising page, where all the money goes to us. And just to break down the costs or how we use the money, so out of every euro donated, around 73% goes straight into research projects, and you can find out more about those projects on our website as well. But we only keep just over 25% for admin and legal fees and all of that. We put some money in the rainy day funds in case a global pandemic hits, which hopefully will never happen. But yeah, we're getting there. Well, Chris, this looks really good. How does it feel?
It's the skin under here has not been shaved.
It hasn't seen the sunlight in a very long time.
Yeah. So and it's also really awkward doing it against the computer screen. So I've had to enlarge the screen so I can see what I'm doing. But so far so good.
Nice. Yeah. Just be careful. So this gives me an opportunity to talk about the history of Movember. So Movember was created in 2003, not as the world's biggest men's health charity it is now, but it was just an idea between a few friends who talked about fashion trends, as men like to do. And they challenged themselves to find a fashion trend that never made a comeback, because most fashion trends do. And they realized that ever since the 80s, men weren't sporting mustaches anymore. And they thought mows are cool. Their grandpa had one, their dad had one, Tom Selleck, Freddie Mercury. Everybody was clean shaven in 2003, and that's how it came to be. And it was just 30 guys who challenged themselves to grow a mustache back then. And they had some intense reactions from their significant others, but also from other men who wanted to join the year after. And they realized they were onto something. And then having realized that, they did a bit of research and found out that prostate cancer is the biggest cancer killer in men worldwide. And they just wanted to, raise the money, give it to the local hospital. But it got bigger and bigger and bigger, a bit like a viral idea, and started traveling around the globe. As Aussies love to travel a lot, it made a jump over to New Zealand, then came to America, to the UK, and we're now active in 20 markets. We raise around 80 to 90 million euros each year. Most of that money comes from the biggest markets like Australia or the US, where Movember is really well established, but especially in Europe, we're trying to get more and more men involved. But as I said earlier already, it's not just about the donations, it's not just about growing a mustache, but it's about starting a conversation about men's health, maybe looking a bit different, maybe looking a bit younger like you do now, Chris.
I am looking a bit younger. I'm also a bit red, I think. I'm going to have to jump in the shower again later, but I'm going to try to rinse this off a bit without making a complete mess.
Yeah.
I don't know, a bit of a mess, but I am looking a bit younger.
Yeah, you do.
When I was younger, I know I in university, I started my goatee because I thought I'd never be able to wear that goatee when I get a real job.
Yeah.
But then I just kept it. And then when I first got into work, I sort of liked it because I thought it made me feel older.
Yeah.
And which it did. And now I'm looking tremendously younger. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm looking better, but it's I
like it.
Certainly younger. So here we are. Wow, look at that.
Wow, well done.
So I need to maybe do a couple of touch-ups, but it's guys, it's that easy. Just get your if you already have some facial hair, just get your clippers and trim it off, and then 2 minutes later you are a new Chris. So
no, and that's the simplicity behind it. And whatever you do, whatever is accessible for you, to you, just do it. Just go out there. And if it's just a post on Instagram, a Facebook message, a WhatsApp, it can all go a long way. So don't look at it and assume it's the biggest challenge in the world. It's one step at a time, like most good things. And it's sometimes doing something a bit out of the ordinary that can actually inspire a conversation that can save someone's life.
I love it. And I was on a call with Mike Wittenstein the other day, who's a friend in the States. And while I was telling the story, he said, well, Chris, I'm going to support you. I'm going to shave it off and grow a mustache. I don't need to do fundraising or anything, but I'm, in support of you, I'm going to jump on board with this, which I thought was a beautiful gift and sort of a camaraderie. And so, I would say if people want to participate simply by growing out a mustache, you don't have to do anything else. That's beautiful. And Michael, what was really triggering with me was the purpose of all this is to start some conversations. So I think if anyone took anything from the last, 30, 35 minutes was, and you don't have to wait till November, just call a man or call someone and just let them know that you're there and you care for them and you're available to talk. And maybe if you see that someone is struggling with something, that's even more of a reason to reach out to them and not avoid them and just say, hey, I'm here. I see you. I feel you. Do you want to talk about something? Is there anything that you'd like to reflect about? What's going on in your life? During this time of this pandemic, when we're all locked up, I think those small movements of connectedness, I think, are of tremendous value. And Michael, thank you so much for raising this topic in Europe and around the world. Again, it's with pleasure that I received the reminder email and that you responded so quickly. And now we've gotten to the point where I've shaved my face.
Perfect.
Just so everyone knows, when you start in November, normally I think like it's the day before the 1st of November, you should be shaving, and then you grow your mustache out. So you start clean shaven, you grow your mustache out through the rest of the month. We're doing this now because, quite frankly, we want to trigger you to get ready for Movember. So that's why I'm doing a little bit earlier. So Michael, thank you so much for joining. This has been a pleasure, educational, inspirational, and I hope people are having some conversations. So thank you, Michael.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity. If anybody wants to reach out, I'm michael@movember.com, very easy. But otherwise, feel free to go to Chris, go to his fundraising page, maybe drop a coin or two. I think he's deserved it. And yeah, let's keep the conversations going, and hopefully we can all support each other through this confusing time, and change some and save some lives, change some lives, and save some lives.
I love that. Thanks, Michael.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Bye-bye.
Learn more at ebillion.com/podcast.